He who has a strong enough why can bear any how. Nietzsche. My name is John Rose, and I'm a why guy based on a very exciting personality test I learned called Personalysis, where we have 4 main personality traits: red, yellow, blue, and green. I've talked about this many times, just did a recent video on it and added some related links to other videos I've done on this subject. When you look at different personalities, they ask different questions. Remember, 4 main colors, and I'm going to put them as numbers. 1 is red, 2 is yellow, 3 is blue, 4 is green. Reds act, they do things quickly. Yellows talk, they do things friendly. Blue people think, they do things creatively. Green people analyze, they do things carefully. Reds ask when and who, what and when. Yellows ask who and what else. Blues ask why and what if. Greens ask how and where. Now, of all these questions, I'm convinced the most important question that we need to have an answer to are the whys and the what ifs. And the reason is because that gives us the motivation to apply whatever the hows are. Ideally, I would like to get people to say, I'll do whatever you say I have to do if what you say is true. Give people the benefits. What are the benefits? What if I change my diet? What if I don't change my diet? Those are valuable questions to ask, because you can ask the red questions, what and when, but if you don't know the whys, you don't have a strong enough why to apply it. Same thing with the green. If you ask the how and the where, and you don't know the whys, you don't know the benefits, it goes back to the Bernoulli's formula. The expected value of doing something equals the value of doing it times the odds of doing it. Well, if you don't know the value of doing it, if you don't know the what ifs, what if I do it, what if I don't, then you don't see that it has any value. It even goes back to the performance equation. Performance equals willingness times ableness. Again, that willingness factor, the ability, knowing what to do and how to do it, isn't worth anything unless we apply it. And why will we apply it? Because we understand the value of doing it. Bernoulli's formula. And that also ties into the odds of doing it. So if we don't really understand the whys, if we really don't understand the what ifs, then we're not going to think we have a chance of doing it. So even if we are told all the good things about something, if we don't think there's any chance of us applying it, then the expected value is going to be very low, especially if we don't think there's any chances of us applying it. Expected value times the odds of doing it. I don't think I can do it. No value. Well, if you really understood the consequences, if you really understood what would happen if you did change and what would happen if you didn't change, then you'd be more motivated to apply it. Now your odds go up. So I am convinced beyond any doubt that, or I should say I just agree with Nietzsche. I'm convinced beyond any doubt that with a strong enough why, we can bear any how. The problem most of us have is we just really don't understand the whys that well. And if you don't have a lot of blue in your personality, you might not even be interested in it. And I just did a video the other day explaining why it was so exciting when I started to work with Christina. Because our personalities are very, very similar. We're both triple blues. And when I started to work with her, I understood that she would understand the whys, and she'd be a good candidate to be on the hero's journey, because when you understand the whys, you can apply the hows. So that was one reason why I got real excited when I started to work with Christina, because again, she was a why gal. I'm a why guy. If you listen to Dr. Robert Morris's videos, he says I'm a why guy, and that's an important thing to understand. So even if your personality doesn't have a lot of blue in it, it still behooves you to understand what the consequences are, so you'll be in a better position to apply it. Now, each color is motivated differently. So let me tell you a little bit more about these colors, and maybe we can understand how to motivate these guys. Red, power to a red person, number one, is money, authority. Power to the yellow person is influence, group, how do they say it? Group opinion, group support. Power to a blue person is knowledge. Again, this is another reason why I was excited to work with Fully Raw Christina, because she had a big cup. People are blue, have big cups. They want to learn. They want to know the whys and the what ifs. And then power to a green person is control. So You can motivate a red person by saying, hey, if you change your diet, you'll make more money. Because that's what is important to them. Money is important to a high red person. That's why those are the ones that if they don't make a lot of money, they don't feel that good about them. Likewise, if you don't have a lot of knowledge and you got a lot of blue, you might not feel good about yourself. And I'm getting sprinkled on, and where's the cloud at? Which one is it coming from? Can't really tell. There's a lot of blue skies and big clouds up there, but it's very light, so I can keep on going. So again, these personality traits. Let's take a look at some more personality characteristics. Using a car analogy, the reds would be the motor, physical energy. Yellow would be the lubricants to make sure things go smoothly. Remember, they do things friendly. The blue would be the steering wheel. They would guide us in the right direction. The green would be the brakes to control us to make sure we don't go too fast. Now let's use a king analogy. The reds would want to be the king. They want to be the boss. They like to tell people what to do. The yellows will be the politicians. The blues will be the philosophers. The greens will be the lawyers, the accountants, the engineers. Time-wise, reds are in the now. Best characteristic to be for a red is because that's what's important. Yellows are into the future. Blues are the only ones that can do all three, past, present, and future. The greens are in the past. So as a result, reds learn by trial and error. They learn from past positive experiences. Hey, I tried to figure out how to play tennis. I found a forehand. That's all I did. I worked on it. I perfected it. So they work on positive experiences. The yellows, they learn through observation and attempting and through group support. The blues learn through listening and questioning. The greens learn through analyzing the facts. And they also learn from past negative experiences. Once they find something that didn't work, they'll be damned if it happens to them again. Greens can kind of hold a grudge. If they get in their negatives, they're going to play a game called Nicky Sob. Now I got you, you son of a bitch. They're going to get even with you. The blues, they'll play poor me. They say, hell, if you want to fight for this space, you can have it. I'm out of here. The yellows, they'll yell at you. They'll play a verbal physical game at you. The reds, they got all that physical energy. They'll hit you or throw something at you. That is if they get in their negatives. Interesting, you can see why a lot of athletes end up beating their wives or accused of wife beating, because if they get in their negatives and they got that red energy, they got to do something physical. What do the blues do? They just say, I'm out of here. Bye-bye. The greens, now I got you, you son of a bitch, Nicky Sob. Again, the greens learn from past negative experiences and they can kind of hold a grudge. I explained the other day how some relationships attract each other because they don't have a certain trait and it's beneficial to them. If you don't have a lot of green in your graph, for example, greens are really good at saving, and if you don't have that trait, then you could benefit from them. But then if these guys get in their negatives, these greens are real stubborn, and that might drive you crazy. So it's interesting, what might attract us in the beginning can actually drive us away. Just like the red and blues will attract each other because they give each other the energy they're missing. The blues need, or the reds need that blue mental energy, and the blues need that red physical energy. And again, they attract each other in the beginning. But eventually they'll drive each other crazy because the reds want to be the boss, tell you what to do. The blues don't like to be told what to do. So let's take a look at pronouns. So I'm giving you clues here. You can spot what people are based on these pronouns. Reds are I, yellows are we, blues are you, greens are they. Now you might think, wait a second, I've been listening to all these characteristics and I feel like I'm all of them. Well, remember, there's 6 blind men from India and they come upon this elephant and they all have 6 different interpretations of what they see. And in reality, this personality test is a way of mapping our choices in life under 3 circumstances. So in a way, you're getting 3 elephants. So the first elephant you get, you might be red, yellow. The second elephant you might get, you might be just the opposite. Blue, green, you're the opposite. Oh my God, I'm an extrovert here, an introvert here. And the third elephant, you might be divergent or convergent. You never know. Or you might be divergent in all 3, and you don't understand any of the others. So this personality test is really fascinating. And this is another way to explain how one person can have all 4 colors. If you are red, yellow in your top graph, your like to graph, the kind of work you like to do, and yellow, blue in your middle graph, that's your ought to graph, that's how you want to be managed, and then green, red, or red, green, either one, in the bottom graph, that's what you need to do, what feels good, what you do under pressure, then you have the perfect personality of a CEO, because you can do all 4 colors. your red, yellow, and your light two. But then you can go from asking what and when to, and who and what else, from who and what else and why and what if. And then finally at the bottom you can do the other trait where you have the red, green. Well, now you're going to ask what and when and how and where. So that's why that personality works the best for a CEO, because under pressure, if you're under pressure, you're going to operate out of that bottom graph. And under pressure, the reds will do something, but they'll do it carefully, or the red-greens in that particular situation. So there is no right or wrong personality. This world would be boring as hell if we were all the same. But as I mentioned in my other video on how to avoid conflict, these 6 personality traits are 3 pairs of polar opposites. The extrovert, the introvert, the convergent, the divergent, the individualist, and the conformist. And again, we need to have variety because we need to have different things done as a species. And I kind of always thought of this sort of like how bees are. And I can't remember which one it is, but one of the bees, I think it's the worker bees, based upon the situation of the hive, they can change and become a worker drone or whatever. I can't remember which one of the bees it does. But I look at us in the same way, sort of. That we take this cosmic energy that comes down to us, and our personality, our consciousness is simply a form of radiation. And we use that energy differently based on a spectrum of light. And that's where you have the physical energy, the mental energy, the red, yellow, the blue, green. They're all different. And it's important to understand one another. Like Socrates said, know thyself. But again, in this case, it's more important to understand, know thyself. Because we have 3 elephants to choose from. And this really makes life a whole lot easier once you understand where other people are coming from. You avoid a lot of conflict in life. It helps you on the hero's journey, because when you're talking to people, you'll pick up really quickly on the pronouns they use, the questions they use. And it reminds me, I'll digress for a moment, of a conversation I had with this guy. I used to see him at Whole Foods all the time. We'd always acknowledge each other and everything. And then I saw that he was living around the corner where I lived, and got to talking to him out there a few times. And then I saw him at Memorial Park a few times. And I was telling him about my project, how I was doing a video series, or actually a whole book, a concept on giving the definitive answer to 3 questions. Why do we have so many problems? Why aren't we solving our problems? And how do we solve our problems? And I proceeded to explain my version of everything. And at one point the guy says, you got to stop asking why questions. And as soon as he said that, the light bulb went off over my head. I realized, well, this isn't a blue guy. How dare him act like he knows how to be a philosopher and understand how to solve problems. I'm the one that has that personality and that trait to be able to do that. And yet he's saying I shouldn't ask why questions. But the point I'm trying to make here is, as soon as he said that, I realized that he didn't have a big cup. He had a little small cup. And at that point, I wanted to explain to him how that all fit, but I realized he wouldn't even want to listen. So I actually just turned and walked away from the guy. I've never done that in my life, but I just knew. I don't even want to say another word to you, because everything I want to say, I know you don't want to hear it. You don't have a big cup. You don't want to understand the whys. You don't want to understand why I'm a philosopher, and I ask why questions. I ask what if questions. If anyone's going to solve those type of questions, you got to find someone who asks a why question. But no, you shouldn't ask why questions. You got to stop asking why questions. That's your problem. That's why you can't find the answer. Anyway, isn't life fun once you understand where people are coming from? This is basic knowledge that we should all understand, because it truly helps us relate to people better, put things in perspective. And I guarantee you, my friends, once you can do that, once you can see that everyone perceives reality a little bit differently than you, and it's okay, it's nothing personal, when you can finally do that, we're all in for a treat.